How will fans fill the hole as the latest trilogy in the Star Wars saga is coming to a close? And how long will we have to wait to get our next Star Wars fix? And could the Kenobi series keep us sated until then? Will we ever see a conclusion to the Clone Wars? And will we finally get to see an Old Republic film or even video game? Hi, I'm Peter, and like the Millenium Falcon bouncing around an asteroid belt, we're about to get a crash course in what's next for Star Wars. Now that the latest installment in the new trilogy has triumphantly come to a close, fans are slavering like an underfed rancor to find out what's next. Well, Lucasfilm and Disney have committed to making sure that fans leave with plenty on their plates, whatever their taste in media. Films. In fact, there's a whole new trilogy just around the corner. These 3 films are planned to be released at 2-year intervals in 2022, 2024, and 2026, all in time for Christmas. But other than that, we haven't got a clue what they'll be about or even who'll be at the helm. What we do know for certain is that it won't be Rian Johnson. He was originally hired to direct a different spin-off trilogy of films, with Disney announcing the project before The Last Jedi was even released. His work on that film was bold and provocative, or sad and tragic, depending on who you ask. So with responses to his vision so mixed, even Johnson himself doubts whether he'll be given the chance to write or even produce another Star Wars project. What's more certain is that Kevin Feige, the brains behind the MCU, has earned himself both a spot at the big table as Chief Creative Officer of Marvel and will now have a chance to bridge the gap between Marvel and Lucasfilm as the creative director of a spin-off title set in the Star Wars universe. After all the amazing work he's done coordinating all those threads for the latest phase of the MCU, this will certainly be one to watch out for, so be sure to subscribe and watch this space for updates as details develop. TV series. Moving on to the smaller screen, Star Wars Resistance looks set to wrap up by the spring of 2020, having completed its job of linking the original trilogy to The Force Awakens. And that continues that story all the way up to the Rise of Skywalker. The Mandalorian, on the other hand, is just getting started. In a drive to get people to sign up for their new streaming service, Disney+, there's a lot riding on that bounty hunter's jetpack. A lot of time and effort has been invested to attract the top talent, and Disney were very proud to announce a cuddly, cute companion who would be integral to the whole series. A happy little guy. You know who I'm all talking about? Director Jon Favreau. Gotcha. And there are clearly high new hopes as a second series has already been greenlit for next year. And speaking of hope against new hope, fans of one prequel spin-off will be very excited to hear news about this animated series. Yes, the Clone Wars will finally get the conclusion it deserves. Originally cancelled when the House of Mouse bought Lucasfilm due to Byzantine inter-studio politics with Disney rival Warner Bros., the Clone Wars is coming home to Disney Plus and will finally close out the unfinished saga of Ahsoka Tano. And talking of Padawans in the prequels, Obi-Wan looks likely to come out of his cave at some point as Ewan McGregor is signed up for a hotly anticipated new miniseries that will follow the former Jedi Knight in his semi-retirement on Tatooine, watching over a prepubescent Luke Skywalker. But will this connective tissue between the two trilogies be childish or gritty? It remains to be seen. And when it comes to gritty, many who welcomed how Rogue One added a little pessimistic shade to the swashbuckling sci-fi fantasy franchise will be very pleased to hear about a potential series in the works with Cassian Andor and K2SO, everyone's favourite deadpan droid, the sardonic sidekick voiced by Wash himself, Alan Tudyk. Books. But what if you prefer to get your Star Wars in a more old-fashioned, civilized manner? Well, I've got great news for you, as there's a whole slew of Star Wars books on the way. And for those fans still mourning the loss of the canon of the extended universe, there are still some familiar names and some familiar faces that should make you very excited. That's right, Timothy Zahn is continuing the tale of Thrawn, this time with a prequel trilogy set before the intertwined story that followed the Rebels TV series. The appropriately titled Ascendancy trilogy will tell the story of the enigmatic Thrawn's origins and the power struggles of the Chiss before their civilization joined the Galactic Empire. Meanwhile, those who are left wondering how the Resistance will pick itself up after the disastrous Battle of Crait at the end of The Last Jedi can read Resistance Reborn and fill in the gaps between that film and this year's final installment of the latest trilogy. The book will explain how Leia, Rey, Poe and Finn dusted themselves off, got back on their feet, and took the fight back to the First Order. Meanwhile, Force Collector will be a YA novel that will focus on a new character, Car, whose unusual powers lead them to discover the truth about the Jedi. Set before The Force Awakens, there are hints that this plot-related power could also help with patching up the narrative between other later films too. And another gap to be filled is what happened after Return of the Jedi, with Shadowfall continuing the story of the New Republic's Alphabet Squadron of pilots as it tracks down and tries to combat the remnants of the Empire's elite fighter squad, Shadow Wing. Video games. And there are now 2 ways that you can join the rebellion yourself. The aforementioned Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple is a prequel comic to the video game Jedi Fallen Order, which picks up after the Jedi Purge in Revenge of the Sith. Cal Kestis, a previous Padawan and now fugitive, must escape and fight back against Sith Inquisitors who aim to hunt down and eliminate the young Jedi. Rumors. And what of the rumors? Well, there's tentative talk of a feature film that follows the cult classic Knights of the Old Republic video game series, written by Avatar and Altered Carbon alum Laeta Kalogridis. And there's a bunch of chatter from inside the House of Mouse about more limited series like The Mandalorian or Kenobi following characters like Leia and Rose Tico, or even baddies like Darth Bane, the Knights of Ren, and even Darth Maul and his criminal Crimson Dawn. But for now, all that is just hearsay. If I manage to smuggle any more info out of the Disney vaults inside my very own astromech droid, I'll be sure to let you know. But until then, keep it Ossa for all your updates about future Star Wars projects. May the Force be with you, and, of course, stay awesome.